I was at a small London cafe, waiting for my coffee, when an American tourist leaned over the counter. "Excuse me," he said loudly, "you mean fries, not chips, right?" The barista blinked. "Here, we call them chips." The tourist huffed. "But that's confusing." "Chips are chips." A Brit behind him chuckled. "And we call fries, fries." The tourist paused, looking around like he'd stumbled into an alternate universe. "So, which is right?" The barista smiled. "Depends. Are you trying to eat or argue?" The tourist muttered something about consistency, grabbed his coffee, and sat down. He spent the next 5 minutes staring at his fries, wondering if he'd just offended an entire nation. I whispered to myself, "Welcome to England. Here, even language comes with a side of identity." I was browsing a bookstore in London when an American woman loudly pointed at a sign that read, "Children's Coloring Books." She whipped out a marker and boldly crossed out the U. "You spelled it wrong," she announced proudly. The cashier blinked. "Actually, madam, we didn't." She laughed. "Wait, you mean you all spell it wrong?" The cashier smiled politely. "No, madam, we invented the language." The crowd giggled. She fumbled, unsure whether to defend her version of English or her pride. She left with a copy of Harry Potter, muttering about unnecessary extra letters. The cashier leaned over and whispered to me, "We charge extra for vowels here." At a cafe near Oxford, an American student interrupted a British professor mid-conversation. "You said at the weekend." "It's on the weekend," he corrected. The professor sipped his tea, smiling. "Is it? Fascinating. I must have been saying it wrong for 70 years. The student didn't catch the sarcasm. "Yeah, people mix it up all the time." The professor leaned forward. "You mean Americans mix it up?" The cafe went quiet, save for the soft clinking of a spoon. Then he added, "Language is like tea, my boy. We brewed it. You added the sugar." Polite laughter rippled through the room. The student stared at his coffee as if it had betrayed him. At Heathrow, an American businessman insisted, "It's a line, not a queue." A British woman finally turned. "Sir, you're in England. It's a queue. The word started here." He laughed. "Well, in America we simplified it." She smiled. "Yes, you simplified a lot, even geography." He blinked. Confused. "You still call football soccer, don't you?" she added sweetly. People nearby chuckled. He mumbled, "We just like efficiency." She nodded. "Efficiency doesn't always make things elegant, dear." Even the customs officer smiled. Heathrow, 1. America, 0. Language isn't just about communication, it's identity. Americans often treat grammar like rules to optimize, tidy up, or make sense of. The British see it as heritage, messy, evolving, poetic. When an American says, "We fixed your language," a Brit hears, "We stripped its soul." Efficiency versus erosion, it's cultural design. In the US, words serve people. In the UK, people serve words. I was in a Manchester pub when an American tourist corrected a local. "You mean I've gotten?" "Not I've got." The man froze mid-sip. "No, mate. I meant exactly what I said." The American smiled condescendingly. "That's not proper grammar." The Brit tilted his head. Neither is arguing with a stranger in a pub. The tourist tried to lecture on past participles. The Brit leaned closer. "We gotten around the same time you dropped us." The whole table burst out laughing. The tourist chuckled too, regretfully. He ordered another pint, silently this time. In Birmingham, an American woman corrected a hotel clerk. "It's called an elevator, not a lift," she insisted. The clerk smiled. "It's called both, actually." "Elevator makes more sense," she argued. "Only if gravity obeys your logic," he said, blinking. He added cheerfully, "Here, we lift things. You elevate egos." Even the bellboy laughed. She stepped into the lift silently, staring at the floor numbers as if they'd betrayed her patriotism. At a Cambridge bookstore, an American tourist argued, I learnt it should be learned. The clerk smiled. In British English, both are correct. But learn sounds right, she insisted. So does center instead of center, he replied. Here, we still spell with history. She sighed. You make English complicated. Yes, he nodded. And somehow, you made it simple and confusing. Other customers quietly clapped. British grammar rewards patience. American grammar rewards confidence. One prizes nuance. The other clarity. Neither is wrong. But the clash runs deeper. Americans see language as a tool. Brits see it as a mirror. One aims to be understood. The other, to belong. That's why when an American corrects a Brit, it isn't a language war, it's an identity crisis. I was on the tube when an American teen loudly corrected a British boy's homework. It's math, not maths, he said proudly. The boy didn't even look up. It's short for mathematics, mate, plural. The American rolled his eyes. That's just extra. The Brit smiled. So's your confidence? When the American tried to defend math as cleaner, the Brit replied, so does snack, but we still say dinner. Quiet laughter filled the carriage. Finally, the British boy added, we invented maths. You invented calculators. In Bath, an American couple corrected a waiter. You said, the toilets are just down the corridor. You mean restrooms, right? The waiter blinked. No, madam. Nobody rests there. The man grinned awkwardly. We just think toilet sounds rude. The waiter smiled. Yet it's the honest one. The couple froze. So you don't call it a bathroom? There's no bath in it, is there? He shrugged. Plates clinked. A quiet chuckle rose from a nearby table. Honesty 1. Euphemism 0. In Brighton, an American tourist scoffed at her British friend, saying whilst, that's not even a word anymore, she declared. The friend smiled, sipping her latte. Oh, it's alive and well here, like irony. The American laughed. We dropped words like that in the US. Yes, the Brit replied, along with tea, manners, and subtlety. Laughter burst around the cafe. The American tried to justify, we just modernized English. Her friend smiled. Modernized, maybe. Civilized? Jury's out. To Americans, directness feels honest. To the British, it can feel aggressive. Hence, Americans say restroom, polite fiction. Brits say toilet, factual manners. American grammar smooths edges. British grammar proudly preserves them. It's not just speech. It's values, understatement over perfection, subtlety over control. At a Liverpool pub, an American student corrected a Brit. We call it a period, not a full stop. The Brit nearly choked on his pint. Mate, in England, period means something else entirely. The American blinked. Oh, really? Yes, the Brit nodded. And we don't end sentences with them. Tables around instantly laughed. The American's face turned crimson. The Brit grinned. Grammar can be dangerous across borders. In York, an American tourist corrected his host for saying, I couldn't care less. It's actually I could care less, he said confidently. The host nearly dropped his teacup. You could care less? Then you do care. The American froze. No, it's just an expression. The host smiled. So is bloody hell, but we still know what it means. The American looked like he'd just failed logic class. The host sipped calmly. English isn't about shortcuts. It's about survival. At a Glasgow shop, an American mum corrected a shopkeeper teaching her child the alphabet. No, honey, it's Z, not Z. The shopkeeper smiled. Not here, it isn't. She laughed. That's confusing. He nodded. To you, maybe. To us, Z sounds like a superhero. The kid giggled. The mum frowned. We simplified it for children. The shopkeeper smiled. Ours just grow up with better spelling. The whole queue chuckled softly as the American muttered, Zed? Seriously? Simplifying language doesn't always make it smarter. Sometimes it just makes it smaller. Americans prize clarity because it saves time. Brits prize ambiguity because it gives charm. Both are correct, just in different worlds. But when one tries to fix the other's version, it's not just a correction. It's a confession that logic isn't universal but local. Outside a Bristol cafe, an American tourist corrected a local. You said, "Mind the pavement." You mean sidewalk, right? The Brit smiled. Pavement is the road. Here, we walk on it, not drive over it. The American tilted her head. That's confusing. The Brit nodded. So is driving on the wrong side. Yet somehow, we manage. Nearby, the crowd chuckled. The American smiled nervously. I guess our English evolved. He sipped his coffee. No, love, it just moved out and stopped calling. At a London office, an American intern corrected his boss. It's pronounced schedule, not schedule. The boss didn't look up. And yet, it's my schedule, isn't it? The intern laughed awkwardly. I just meant the American way sounds cleaner. The boss smiled. So does a chainsaw. The intern blinked. The boss added, we pronounce it with time, not noise. The office laughed. The intern mumbled, I guess it's cultural. The boss nodded. Indeed. Yours is fast. Ours still works. In Nottingham, an American woman asked a shopkeeper why Brits say fancy instead of want. It's old-fashioned, she said. The shopkeeper smiled. So's politeness. She laughed. No. I mean, nobody talks like that anymore. He replied, everybody does, just not to you. The woman froze. That's rude. He smiled. No, it's context. She bought her tea quietly while he muttered, fancy that? Americans use language to dominate space, to fill silence with certainty. The British use it to test balance, keeping meaning just out of reach. That's why Americans say want and Brits say fancy. One demands, the other invites. To an American ear, British English sounds evasive. To a Brit, American English sounds loud. Grammar becomes less a rulebook than a personality test. At Oxford, an American student corrected his British tutor. You mean college, right? The tutor blinked slowly. No. I mean university. College is part of it. The student frowned. That's not how it works back home. The tutor smiled. Neither did monarchy, but we kept it anyway. The room laughed softly. The student whispered, blushing, we just simplified things. The tutor replied, yes, and yet, somehow made them harder. At an Edinburgh hotel, an American guest corrected a receptionist. It's vacation, not holiday. The receptionist smiled. That's when you vacate. We prefer to enjoy. The guest laughed nervously. Same thing. Not quite, she replied. You leave work, we leave stress. The American stared, then sighed. I think I need both. She grinned. That's why you lot never stop going back to Florida. At Cardiff Airport, an American traveler corrected a British customs officer. It's aluminium, not aluminium. The officer smirked. Ah, so you dropped a letter again? We simplified it, the man said proudly. Ah, yes, the officer replied. Just like healthcare. The queue erupted in laughter. The American turned red, but smiled. You guys rehearse these, don't you? Only when it's aluminium, the officer nodded. Grammar isn't about being right, it's about being understood. And sometimes, being understood means being flexible. Americans reshaped English for ambition, fast, bold, exportable. The British preserved it, poetic, layered, slow. When Americans correct British grammar, they aren't fixing mistakes, they're confronting unfamiliarity. Every Z versus Z, every color versus color, isn't a spelling war. It's proof that language, like culture, shows what a nation fears losing, control or tradition. And the real irony? both speak English. They just argue in different accents.